white hair, kind of stood up, very handsome man, and he did some incredible videos.
Hold on, Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, Anne-Marie, we are on live now, but thank you very much for filling in. Sorry, Anne-Marie, we had to break you out there. But anyways, we're back here with Joe. We do have Joe on with us now. Let's see what's going on here. Let's bring Joe on right now. Let's add him to the stage. Hello, Joe.
Hi, how you doing, Rick? Thank you for inviting me to your program. And Anne-Marie, I really enjoyed your program as well.
Well, I'm so glad that you're listening in, Joe, and you're with us tonight. And I know that you have a lot to talk about concerning your trek in the Watchtower. We have Joe DAURIO. Joe is a former elder in the Jehovah's Witness religion, and he wanted to come on tonight with a special program. He wanted to talk about some of the adverse conditions, some of the extreme abuse, you could say, in the Watchtower organization. So the name of his program here is The Tale of Two Manipulated Experiences That Affected Lives. So, Joe, I'm going to let you kind of talk to the audience here, and you let them know how you feel about the Watchtower. Let them know some of your experiences. I'm here. I'll be putting some pictures up as you're talking, and we'll give you full screen here so you can maximize the screen. It's all yours, Joe. Take it away.
First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me to the program. I spent 49 years in the Watchtower. I was an elder for 14 years, saw a lot, but I will make one disclaimer. I've been out for 12 years, so I actually don't know what the Watchtower is up to. I know there's not a lot of activity, even in my area, but what I want to do is take you back to around 93, 94. We had a circuit overseer. His name was Mark Walls. Now, he's not to be confused with Ralph Walls, who is a governing body helper, who is very fascinated with self-abuse or masturbation. You've probably seen those videos. We had a CO, his name was Mark Walls, and he wasn't going to make it to our congregation. So the Watchtower decided to fly out one of the heavies of the Watchtower. His name was John Williams, very, very good speaker, but he was also very manipulative. And so he gave a talk. And by the way, he was from Barbados, but he was at the branch in New York. He gave a talk entitled, "Are You Serving the Watchtower Whole-Souled, or Is There a Hole in Your Soul?" Now, I changed the name Jehovah to Watchtower because that's what people are serving. But he gave this talk, and he was a good speaker. He was a very good speaker. And he gave an experience that actually was very emotional. It was the experience of a man that was sentenced to death in Japan. He had killed several people, and he was going to die. Now, back in the day in Japan, when you were sentenced to death, they didn't tell you when you were going to die. You sat in a cell 24 hours. I think you got out for an hour for a little recreation, but you just waited to die. And you didn't know when it was going to happen. So this Brother Williams starts to talk about this convicted man that was going to be executed. He was going to be hung. So he's given this experience, and he talked about a pioneer that was allowed to go into that area of the prison. He had special privileges. He was a pioneer brother, full-time pioneer. And he started a study with this man named Nakata. And Nakata really loved the Watchtower. And again, I'm I'm not using the name. I'm using the Watchtower because that's what they serve. So he started to talk about some of the things he would do as he was progressing. And he mentioned that he would tell this pioneer, give me a list of your meeting times. So the pioneer gave him a list of the meeting times. And Nakata would stand in attention in his little cell, and he would imagine singing with the so-called brethren, and then he would stand for 2 hours every meeting. Book study, 1 hour. And he continued to progress to the point where he wanted to get baptized. Of course, that was going to be a bit of a problem in a prison in Japan. And he was up for execution. So Brother Williams starts to talk about the loyalty of this man, how loyal he was to the Watchtower. Every meeting he would stand at attention. And he ended up getting baptized. Now, here's where the emotions start to come in. They told him that he was going to be executed the next day. So he talked to the pioneer. The pioneer's name was Percy. He said, I want you to be at the execution. And Percy said, no, I don't want to I don't want to go to the execution. I can't do that. It'll break my heart. He said, no. He said, you don't understand. I won the fight. You have to continue the fight. You have to continue to stay loyal to the Watchtower. Tomorrow, I will end the fight. I would have fought the fine fight. So it's time for the execution. And again, this Brother Williams, he added a lot to this experience. So there's a gallows, there's the audience. Most of them are police officers, prosecutors, people that were involved in not only the investigation, but people that were affected by the people he murdered. So he goes up to the gallows. And of course, he asked Percy to come up to the gallows and offer a prayer. And the warden said, yeah, that's fine. And so they prayed to the Watchtower. And Percy goes back down. Now, Percy didn't want to watch this. But again, in the experience, this Brother Williams said that Nakata was actually happy that he was going to die because in a blink of an eye, he would be in this paradise. So they put the hood over him. Of course, they shackle him, so it's a clean kill. And they put the noose on him. Trapdoor opens. And according to the experience, which was highly manipulated, after he died, after it was shown that he died by the doctor, people started to talk and they went up to Percy. And Percy said, I couldn't believe it. When he was coming down, he said, Jehovah. And several of the people, the witnesses, said, no, that's not what he said. He said, Jehovah, please protect the brothers because they have the fight. I no longer have the fight. Now, guys, here's where I want to start using critical thinking skills. When that trapdoor opened, do you think this convicted man had enough time to say all of that? So after Brother Williams, I'm calling him brother, I'm sorry. After John Williams gives this talk, he says, brothers and sisters, none of you can say you are serving whole-souled to the Watchtower if you are not in the full-time service. If you're a young person and you could give your life to Bethel and you're not doing that, you are not giving whole-souled service to the Watchtower. There is a hole in your soul. Because, see, Nakata, who was a condemned inmate, stood up loyally every meeting, never missed a meeting. How does he know? Because it was manipulated. And then his last words were not of concern for himself, but concern for the Watchtower and the brethren, so they could continue to serve and fight the fine fight. So here's where it gets tricky. Again, I had some critical thinking skills, but it was a very emotional experience. John Williams starts telling individuals in the audience that if they are not at least a 10-hour publisher, they have a hole in their soul. They don't have what it takes. They don't have what the whole-souled service Nakata gave. And then he kept using Nakata as an example. Look at him. When he was dying, when that trap door opened, he gave everything to the brethren. He was worried about the brethren, the Watchtower. He wanted to make sure everybody would fight the fine fight. So you have no excuse to not be a 10-hour publisher. And if you have the ability to work part-time so you could pioneer and you're not doing it, you are not giving the Watchtower whole-souled service. There is a hole in your soul. So here was the result. At the time, we had like 2 or 3 pioneers. We had brothers and sisters quit their jobs, took part-time jobs, janitorial work, and we had a brother that quit a good paying job to pioneer. We had 2 brothers that applied for Bethel, thinking that Bethel would be their life until the new world, right? That's what they used to teach. And of course, we know they don't want that anymore. As soon as they get your youth, as soon as they wear you down, they put you out on the streets. So the reason I brought this up, that experience was actually not true. I'll tell you what happened. Several of the publishers in the congregation it was so emotional that they asked Brother Williams if he could give the experience, if he could print out the experience, and he did. So about 2 years later, I was going to give a convention talk. Now keep in mind, when you give convention talks, it's either a manuscript or an outline. And there are some areas where it says you could put an experience that applies. So I had reached out to a district overseer. His name was Dick Saranko. I really liked him. He's laid off, by the way. Once you hit a certain age, you get laid off, and they put you out to pasture. They don't care. So anyway, at the time, he was in the district work, and I said, hey, I would like to share this experience of this man that was condemned to death, and in his last breath wasn't worried about himself. He was worried about the congregation, the brothers and sisters. And right away he said, don't use it. It's a lie. It was manipulated. And so he pulls out a yearbook. And in the yearbook, there was one sentence. And it said that some condemned brothers or some condemned inmates were studying the Bible in Japan. So that morphed into this fantastic experience where a man named Nakata would stand up in the cell, stand up in attention during the 2-hour meeting, the next 2-hour meeting, the 1-hour book study. And then, of course, like I said, the trapdoor opens and he has the ability to say, Jehovah, I have fought the fine fight. Protect the brothers and sisters. You tell me, and I'm going to open this up later for people to comment, but you tell me if a condemned inmate on the gallows, when that trap door opens, has enough time to say all that. So I used critical thinking skills, and I decided not to use that because what that experience did was ruined lives. I will tell you, I was encouraging an individual to go into the paramedic program. I was encouraging another individual to reach out for another job opportunity, and they dropped it. One to Pioneer and one to go to Bethel. And so the reason I brought this experience up is this experience was completely manipulated. The MO for the Watchtower, by the way, has not changed. I'm going to give you an example. I believe about a month ago, they had JW Broadcasting on, and they were interviewing elderly given ones. They used to call them given ones, and then they changed the term to helpers at branches up in New York, Warwick, and they were interviewing them about the new arrangement that they would be retired. Well, let me tell you, I could tell you one thing. None of those men wanted to leave their comfort zone. Many of those men spent 40, 50, 60 years doing the same thing every day, serving Watchtower. And now they're happy that the governing body says, hey, you get to retire. We're going to just send you out in the field. Well, guess what? Out in the field is cold. Out in the field, you got to fight for survival. There are no 3 meals a day. It's like when they laid off the Bethelites. No more 3 meals a day. No more little room where you have a roof over your head. You are out on the streets. So what I wanted to talk about is how these experiences manipulate people to the point where they alter their careers. Now, at the time, I was working for the federal government. I was a compliance officer, and I had a really good job. And I'll tell you, I did make one mistake. We had a rogue elder. We were building a new Kingdom Hall, and we needed funds for the startup. And I'll never forget, he went up on the platform and he said, brothers and sisters, if you have a 401k, if you have any supplemental retirement you're putting into that, get rid of it. You're wasting your money. And this is what he said. And I'm going to quote it. He said, we will not see the year 2000. So guess what I did? I go back to work and I tell my district manager, we didn't have an HR. And I said, cut my thrift savings plan. He said, you sure you want to do that? I said, yeah. Now they were matching 6% I worked for the feds for 20 years before I retired. I would have had at least $300,000-$400,000 in that thrift savings plan for retirement. But see, that's what they do. Now that elder went rogue, but they manipulate. That's their MO. Anything they can do to manipulate an experience to get people to do more for them. Again, I talked to you about these men, these older men. Oh yeah, they were happy being interviewed. Oh, it's a beautiful arrangement from the governing body. It's beautiful that they're going to let us go out in the field. Are you kidding me? These guys are 70 and 80 years old. They've served at a branch all their life. They've had 3 meals a day. They got to serve at convention parks. That's their life. They had responsibility. They had a roof over their head, and you're putting them out on the street. I know one district overseer. Remember, they laid off the district overseers. If you ever saw the trailer court him and his wife live in, you would be disgusted with the watchtower. They live in a trailer park. I used to be a paramedic. I used to run calls. They live in a trailer park where all you have is murders, rapes, sexual assaults, drug overdoses. You never go on a medical call. That's the trailer park. That's their paradise for serving the watchtower in the district work for 30 years. It kind of tying in with Anne Marie. This organization does not care about the rank and file. They don't even care about the heavies. Like I said, these men served for many years and they're getting booted out. So in conclusion, and Rick, if you want to share some of the pictures of when I was in the watchtower, and then some of the pictures with my career, because one thing the watchtower did to me, by the way, I always wanted to be in law enforcement. I wanted to be a first responder. After I was excommunicated, I know they'll say disfellowshipped. After I was disfellowshipped, I actually became a paramedic. I became a firefighter medic. That in turn moved me into the law enforcement community where I trained as a law enforcement officer. I served 3 years as a law enforcement officer. So the watchtower didn't steal that. That's when I was a firefighter medic. In addition to that, I became an emergency manager. So even though the watchtower took my youth, when I got excommunicated, I will tell you that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because after I got excommunicated, I got my paramedic. I was already retired from the federal government. I got my paramedic. I got my firefighter 1, became a full-time firefighter, got into law enforcement. I served as a bomb tech for the fire department. So I got to do a lot of things that I would never have been able to do in the watchtower. In fact, right now, I'm actually, I still work part-time for Homeland Security as an instructor. And I know the government shut down a little bit, but I'll be going back to doing that. But the watchtower almost stole my dream. And they steal a lot of people's dreams. So in conclusion, as Rick's showing some of these pictures, I'm going to share one last experience where actually the congregation was brought into it, and they were also guilty of the same manipulative pattern that the Watchtower has as an MO. So I'm going to take you to, I was living in Kansas at the time. And what had happened was we were out in the ministry. And of course, back in the day, we're talking early 90s. Back in the day, what you did, and many of you are ex-witnesses, right? So uh, it was all about time, right? It wasn't really about people, it was about time. So my car group would go, we'd hit a couple, we'd get our time started, right? We'd go to a laundromat, drop some pamphlets off, and then we'd go do a couple return visits. And then we went to the donut shop. Now, in Garden City, Kansas, which was a pretty good sized town, there was a donut shop. And it was a big donut shop. It was in the store was called Dillon's. We didn't have Safeway. We didn't have Piggly Wiggly or whatever you guys have in your towns. We had Dillon's, and they were big stores, big grocery stores. And so we would go have donuts and coffee, and we would keep our time rolling because we would make sure somebody would hand off a track. And it's all about time, right? The Watchtower, they really they put that, we need time, we need time. It's not about people. So anyway, unbeknownst to me, there was one of the waitresses that was serving coffee. She asked one of the Pioneer sisters, she said, "How do I join your club? You guys have so much fun." And of course, the sister did what she does best. She gave her a track and she said, "I would like to show you how you could be in an elite club. And this club is the only club that has God's blessing." And I didn't hear the rest, but that's what I was told. So she starts studying with this individual. Now, this got back to the circuit overseer. Now, this was a different circuit overseer because I was in another circuit. And this woman actually started going to the meetings. She became a publisher. And so the circuit overseer said, "I would like to use your experience." Now, of course, she's not baptized. We don't want her on the platform. Not good enough to be on the platform, but we want you to share this experience. So we're in Wichita, Kansas. And you know, this young gal she was so fun. They love bombed her. But the problem was, there comes a time where you got to start living Watchtower life. You got to start serving the Watchtower. You got to put on the Watchtower suit or the Watchtower dress. So we're at the hotel. And of course, you know, the Watchtower wants you to stay at a certain hotel. And I'll never forget this. And she was a very bubbly person. So she was going to meet this Pioneer sister and her husband and another Pioneer sister. And of course, I was with two other elders. And she comes to the pool in a bikini. And I think I might have shared this, but I have to share it because the congregation got involved in a lie. This is how deceitful. Some people want to call it spiritual warfare. I call it a lie. So she comes out to the pool in a bikini, and two of the elders almost had a stroke. And they said, "We need to talk to her." And I said, "Guys, no, this is not the time. She's new. She's not even baptized, right? She hasn't even given her life to the cult, to the corporation. Give her some breathing room." But no, these were, I would call them beta elders. They were alpha elders when it came to judicial committees, when it came to giving talks on a platform. But let me tell you, I'm going to tell you a little secret about elders. Most of the elders, including me, we let our wives walk all over us. I'm not making that up. And so the only way you could be an alpha is during a judicial committee when you're breaking up a family. The only time you can be an alpha is when you're on the platform and saying, you know what, brothers, you're not doing enough. We need to do more for the Watchtower. Kind of like what John Williams said. So these were beta elders, and I warned them, don't talk to her. They went up and pulled her aside, and of course they counseled her. They went into alpha mode, even though they were beta elders. And I know one of them was truly a beta elder because his wife used to beat him. She beat him one time so bad that he tried to leave the house, but she wouldn't let him. But that's another story. So anyway, they're counseling her. She's in tears. She thought this was a club. She's starting to realize they're going to dictate every aspect of her life. So she gets in the car and leaves. She heads back to Garden City. No one's going to tell me how to dress in a swimming pool. And by the way, this bikini was modest. I don't know why they felt they had to talk to her. Well, here's how they manipulated it. The next day, it's Sunday, and this sister gets invited to the platform, and Brother Eagle, who was a conniving, I'll tell you, I had never seen a circuit overseer that was so manipulative and conniving. So he knew this woman was no longer at the assembly site. But you still got to go with the flow, right? That's the MO. You got to manipulate because you got to get the people involved. So he's talking to this sister, and he said, Sister, you had an interesting experience. Could you tell us what happened? Oh, yes, Brother Eagle. We were at Dillon's. It's the area where they have the donut shop. And one woman asked how to join the club. And it gave me an opening to show her that the Watchtower was the only organization that had God's blessing. And I started to study with her. So Brother Eagle said, how is it going? Oh, wonderful. She's a publisher. And Brother Eagle, you will be glad to know that she is here in the building today. Now, most of the, well, not most of the congregation, but a lot of us knew that was not the truth. I did not clap. Others clapped, even though they knew this poor woman that thought she didn't know that the Watchtower was going to control every aspect of her life. She went home. But could you imagine the CO, Brother Eagle, knew she was not in the building. He knew she went home, but he lied. And he got the applause. And that's how they get you. They use emotion, manipulation. And I'm just touching the surface. I'm just sharing two experiences. Kind of like the elder that went rogue and said, cut off your 401k, cut off your thrift savings plan. Don't be putting into you will not see the year 2000. Guess what? It's 2025. I'm getting ready to enjoy my second retirement. And Rich and Connie, I hope you're listening. I'm so excited to head out your way to South Carolina. I'm getting tired of Colorado. But you know what? If I would have never listened to that manipulating brother, I'm going to have two nice retirements. I'm already benefiting from one. But I would have had a good supplemental retirement as well. They took that away from me. because of their manipulative tactics. So guys, I just wanted to share the fact that a lot of these experiences, they're not true. By the way, real quick before I open it up to the audience, and I think I got about 20 minutes. When Dick Saranko said, "Don't use that experience," it's manipulated. It's not true. And then he showed me the one little sentence that said, "Some condemned inmates in Japan are studying the Bible with the Watchtower." So how they got this elaborate experience to tug on the emotions so people could quit their jobs and pioneer and go to Bethel where they would be laid off anyway, it's sick. Kind of going with what Anne Marie was talking about. These people do not care about breaking up families, destroying careers. Like I said, I always wanted to be a police officer, a firefighter. And it wasn't until I was kicked out 12 years ago that I was able to fulfill my dream. So if you're a young person, you're kicked out, you have nothing to lose. You're not tied down to the Watchtower. You don't have to let them manipulate you anymore. And so in conclusion, I just want to say that they've done a lot of damage with these experiences. Oh, I didn't end it. When Dick Saranko was talking to me, he said, "Have you ever heard the experience of the Avon lady?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, they share that all the time." He said, "Didn't happen." I was shocked. He said, "Did you ever hear the experience of the Smurf?" I said, "Yeah." Didn't happen. The Watchtower are experts at manipulation. Guys, there's only one thing that this organization can offer anybody. You want to know what that is? That is 6 feet of dirt. They can't offer you anything. They break up families. They destroy people's lives. They destroy their livelihood. And they do that by manipulation. So whenever you get on JW Broadcasting and you hear this wonderful experience, use your critical thinking skills. Well, guys, that's all I wanted to share. And I hope you enjoyed the program. Does anybody want to ask some questions?
Yeah, well, Joe, very good. Yeah, let's bring. Okay, go ahead. You're on with us. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I want to relate to this gentleman that just spoke. Yeah, I didn't put my time in on my retirement. Every hour counted. I thought Armageddon was coming back in the 90s, and I would die. And before 2000, Armageddon would come, I would die. And also, I didn't get into 401k with my company, which was very lucrative, because of thinking that I would die at Armageddon because I was no longer associated with Watchtower. That man knows what he's talking about, what he said. And anyway, that's what I got to say. Thanks.
So you're another good example of how manipulation affects your life. You stopped your 401k too.
Yeah, I didn't get in it. I got in it for a while, and then I shut it down. I said I want to die before 2000, and that's what they told me. I left in the early 90s. I left in 90, and I believed it. Yeah, well, I'm not going to see. I'm not going to see 2000, and this 401k is worthless to pay into, and I wouldn't work extra hours, which paid into my retirement with my company, and that's Yeah, I'm living on a fixed income today because of that cult.
So many are. So many
Now,
are. Rich, can you pull up the? I gave a talk. It was a humiliation ritual for me. I gave a talk in front of pyramids. Can you pull that picture up? Because I want to talk a little bit about. I did a release at a convention, and the release was all about Armageddon. And I can't remember what the publication was, but it was a manipulation tactic, and that was in 2002. And the reason I said it was a manipulation, I was told on the outline to say specifically, it's the one where I'm behind, the pyramids are behind me.
Joe, in fact, I don't have that one up for some
Okay,
reason.
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Uh, you know, I gave a talk telling brothers and sisters that we are so almost kind of like Stephen Lett. We are so close. That was in 2002. And I'm thinking, you know, I'm a little bit guilty of all this, but you know, I, I believe in grace, but you know, they make us do things that are out of line. I'm just as guilty as this Williams guy that was sharing this experience of Nakata, who probably didn't even exist. And I'm just as guilty as the guy that said, cut off your 401k, because I used to do the same thing. I'd get on the platform when I did this release, and I wish I remember the publication. They don't even use it anymore. But keep on the watch. I released that publication. And I'll never forget, it was a manuscript talk, and it said, brothers and sisters, we are running out of time. That was in 2002, I believe. Yeah, keep on the watch. So all those people that put their life on hold, people still put their life on hold. I have family that will not talk to me, but yet their life is on hold.
Can I talk to you for a second, Joe?
Go ahead. Go.
First of all, I remember when you were 47, 47, and I always wondered, what is the significance of that number?
Well, one of my favorite movies is about a man that sacrificed his life for a girl, and he was going after the cartel to get her free, and he had one of the cartel members, and he said, I need the PIN number. Give me the PIN number. And the PIN number was 4747. Well, that PIN number led to her freedom. And I'll never forget, because when that movie came out, I was alone. I lost my wife. I lost my tribe, my congregation. I was in the dark. And then I watch a movie where a man actually gave his life for a girl, for her freedom. And I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to use that number, because to me, it means freedom. By the way, it's a rated R movie, guys.
That is a fantastic answer. Unbelievable. But I want to tell you, I had a very close relationship with Dick Saranko. It was fantastic. I've got like 50 of his talks on tape. I was a fan. I even asked him to marry me and my wife, as a matter of fact. And now apparently Bob Saranko, I believe is his younger brother, is now the president of the organization.
Yes. Dick Saranko was probably my favorite district overseer. I mean, he was a good, there are actually good men. And we know that. Look at Rick Farron. I mean, he was a servant. Rich. There are a lot of good men that didn't mean harm. We were just doing what the Watchtower told us to do. I didn't mean harm when I was destroying families, but that's what I thought I was supposed to do. But now I know I wasn't never qualified to do it, and I have to move on. But you're right, Dick Saranko was my favorite.
And I will tell you a little Dick Saranko story, since you like him so much. I was studying with a guy who was like a paramilitary type of individual. He collected all kinds of weaponry and stuff, lived next door. And he came to me, and Dick did his jokes, as he always did. And he did the joke about a Jewish joke. Why do Jews nose so big? They oxygen's free. I believe that's what he did. Anyway, I had a kerfluffle with my Bible student and him, and he apologized for it to my Bible student, who never became a witness in the net anyway, you know. But it was like, God in heaven. But Dick forced my congregation elders to appoint me a ministerial servant. I complained to him because we had some situation where 4 of us brothers who weren't even appointed were told, well, we need to give you a lot of our talks in the congregation, have you conduct our book studies. We're just too busy. So we did that, and they told us, the congregation overseer did, in 2 years, you will be appointed ministerial servants. That's actually what they told us. It didn't happen. So Dick was in town, and I complained to him about it, and he forced them to appoint me. Did I suffer for that? God, yes, I did. They punished me, man, because I went to the circuit overseer and forced their hand, okay? But, hey, he was a good man. I love him. I wish I knew to find out.
Let me share his humor real quick. So I was really nervous. I was doing the watchtower at a convention, and you know you got to do the walkthrough and all that. And so you get up and you get by the lectern, and he said, "I want to let you know, we wanted the very best for this watchtower to review the watchtower at this convention. Unfortunately, he's not available, so we have to use you." He had a good sense of humor.
That's Dick Saranko, man.
Yeah.
Well, I happen to have something. I'm going to let go after this, but the tape of Fred Franz's last talk at a district assembly in Louisville, and it was Dick Saranko up on the platform, trying to get him off the platform. And when he finally left, it was like a 1 minute, 12-second standing ovation. Not
yeah.
for
I've been to Crazy Freddy Fred's talks. Crazy.
Great. I've got it, and I've got to use it. People tell me, "What are you doing with all these tapes? You're not releasing them," you know. So, but I'm just a lazy ass, you know. I'm just enjoying the ride of the apostasy, man. Listen to Rick Barron work his butt off every week, you know.
Yeah. Yep. Both him and Rich, Connie, and Marie.
Tonight. Say that again. But I'm going to let you go. Listening to you is a special treat tonight, Joe.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me. Sometimes I get too fired up because the watchtower still kind of gets me upset. I'm sorry if I get a little excited.
6 to 2004. Yeah, I'll hear you. Talk at you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Joe?
Yes.
Joe, I go by Zachary. I really liked your presentation. Yeah, I really liked your presentation. I like the way you ended it on a financial, talking about finances and how they affect that. But the earlier part, that brother that you mentioned, John Williams?
Yes.
That came out to do your circuit overseer visit. I was at Bethel mid to late 80s, and I used to see that brother there. And
black brother from Barbados.
Yes, black brother. And he had his wife. He was married, and his wife had an identical twin sister who was also at Bethel. So you'd see the three of them eating together. He's always sitting next to his wife at the table, and the wife's sister would sit across from them. So we always did see that. So I know you're telling us something that really happened. Again, I want to thank you for talking about finances and how people are affected by finances, because often you'll have people who regular pioneer and they spend years and years getting working little small jobs because they're able to a special pioneer or serve where the need is greater, and or they get help from older parents, and so they live at home and they end up not paying into even the most basic things like Social Security, and it affects them when they get to that age.
Yes.
And I think such a shame.
Yeah, because Social Security. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, what people don't understand is it's not only the credits, but it's how much you put in. If you have a part-time job, you're working at. I'll give you an example. We had a pioneer sister, 40 years pioneer service, and she worked 2 hours a night at a bank. Well, when she's ready for Social Security, it's not just the credits, but how much you put into it. So she's drawn what, $700 a month? How do you live on that?
Yeah.
You know, it's sad.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. That's exactly the thing. And also, you mentioned 401ks, things like that. I remember a circuit overseer. It was probably in the 2000s, maybe in the 90s, but a circuit overseer told a pioneer group. It may have been the pioneer meeting when the circuit overseer has their visit, and he told them that you need to get your money now, because if you leave it for retirement, you may never be able to touch it because Armageddon will have come. So it's really bad financial advice too that they give.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's all I want to say.
Oh, going back to John Williams, can I say something? I know you met him at Bethel. You served at Bethel, right? Met him there. I got to tell you, the bad side of having a Bethel speaker come in for the CO. Now the CO couldn't make it, so we decided to have we invited this individual. Well, after the CO leaves, you have to pay for the expenses, right? Usually it's anywhere from $200 to $300, even though we feed them and we house them. When the presiding, or Kobe, I guess they call him, when the Kobe said, brothers, the expense for Brother Williams is $2,400, I was like, what the heck? Did he fly first class? What the, it's all, and by the way, he got a lot of green handshakes because he was such a good speaker.
Yeah, he was over. He had something. They put you through a series of lectures to orient you, and one of them is an accounting lecture where they ask you if about personal stuff, so that you won't end up with conflicts because you have to have your taxes done and all that stuff. And it seems like he conducted the accounting lecture, and my presumption is that he was an accountant. I thought he was a CPA or something like that. But several years later, it turned out that he was not really what I thought he was. I think that the organization misunderstood some of his credentials or lack thereof. I didn't mean to bring it down to that, but thanks so much for your presentation.
Yeah, I enjoy your comments. Thank you. I think we have about 6 minutes left.
Go ahead. You're on with Joe DAURIO. Go ahead. Hit *6. Say hello to Joe. My goodness gracious. He'd love to hear from you. Hit *6. Come on. Say hello, Joe. Go ahead. You're on with us, sister.
Hello, Joe. My goodness gracious, it's a lot to hear from you. It's *6.
Hello, Joe. Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
Hello, Joe. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Hi, Joe. This is Connie.
Hi, Connie.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
There you are. It's we have a little bit of a delay. Yeah, it's good to see you, Joe. Let's see. I was going to say thank you so much for coming on, and I have some special guests here at the house with me, and it's Dan and Angela, and they'd like to say hello to you too.
Oh,
And
hello.
the information that you're bringing up tonight is so great because people really, really need to hear about this. You know, you're talking about your 401 and everything else, Joe. You know, Watchtower has a tendency to use and abuse people, and then once, you know, their assignments are served, they spit them out and throw them under the bus. And you know, the average JW doesn't know that. They think that they're doing this to serve Jehovah, but they're really just serving the governing body. And what's really sickening is the whole thing is, you know, the governing body does not care about the rank and file, but they certainly care about themselves. I mean, all of their needs are all taken care of, their food, their housing, everything else. So I think until people can really wake up, you know, like that one brother you were saying, I don't know if he was a CO or a district overseer, I think a CO, and they threw him out to pasture. You know, he's living in the ghetto now, which is really, really dangerous. Yeah. And that's the gratefulness, the thankfulness he gets for all of his years serving Watchtower. So I think when people really wake up to this, Joe, you know, they start to realize this organization is truly not what it appears. It's just an illusion.
Yeah.
I wanted to
say that trailer park. Whenever we dropped a call, we wore vests, plated vests, because we never had medicals. It was always drug overdoses, molestation, sexual assaults, murder. We had 3 officers get shot by a guy. It was a bad place, and that's where they put that poor little circuit overseer. And I want to say one more thing before I close, Rick. You know that what really bothered me, and the reason I wanted to talk about how they manipulate experiences. They do this on jw.org. You know, when they were interviewing those poor men, and a lot of these men served at branches for 40, 50 years, I could see it in their eyes. They were forced to say, oh, this is a blessing from the Watchtower. The governing body's going to let us retire. They were forced to say that. I can guarantee it. There is no retirement. These men served for 40, 50 years. They had housing, they had food, and now what are they going to do? They don't have Social Security. They signed a vow of poverty, so I could see the fear in their eyes. And I'm going to leave it at that, guys. And I guess we have 2 minutes if anybody wants to comment, and then we'll close it up.
Joe?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Zachary again. I did forget to mention this. You mentioned the circuit overseers and district overseers and how they get retired. I remember seeing on JW Broadcasting, this is about 5 to 7 years ago, where there were brothers who had reached the age where they no longer serve as circuit overseers or district overseers. And in the arrangement, usually a circuit overseer served 3 years in a circuit, and then they move on for another 3 years somewhere else. And that's the kind of thing they did. there were some retired ones, for lack of a better word, some retired ones, and one of them said that what he did, I think they kind of knew it was going to be a difficult time, but what he did was he found a congregation or an area where he had served within the last two circuit, rounds. So somebody that he had served within the last 6 years, and he took up living in that area. But if you look at what happens to congregations, I recently looked at an area that had 6 congregations, and now they were down to 4. I compared assembly directory from 2006 with 2025 and found that 6 congregations had only become 4. So there is a decrease in people. And even if they're the same number of people, I think there's a decrease in dedicated people that these circuit overseers and district overseers have, if they're going to depend on that. There's just a decrease, and I don't see it as something that is sustainable.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, I thank you for your
Hey,
comments.
Joe, hold on.
We're over time.
Joe, excuse me, Joe, hold on one second. If you can hang on a little more, we have an unusual amount of people who want to talk to you. Can you hang in a little bit longer?
Oh, okay. I don't want to run into your time, though.
Oh, no, that's all right, Joe. I appreciate your understanding. But what we do at the 6 Screens, we've done it from the very inception. If I notice unusual activity, which I'm noticing here tonight, a lot of people coming in, we keep the lines open. So let's stay on this program for a while. Let's go to 609. 609, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Hello, Joe. New Jersey calling. It was most interesting to listen to your testimony there about on the subject of manipulation, how the Watchtower manipulates the facts, manipulates whether it's even a true experience or a false experience. They manipulate it to control people and to make them do certain things, crazy, nutty things in their lives that ruin them. So, but on this subject of manipulation, is maybe we should try to consider the big picture here. Is it, so please consider, is it not true that in the Bible, in Isaiah, it says some passage there says, who shall I send? And Isaiah says, what does Isaiah say? Oh, here I am, send me. And the Watchtower and Christianity has used that verse. Second one, I'll give 3 altogether just off the top of my head, but there's many more. Second one, how about the passage in the Bible where it clearly says, do not store up for yourselves treasures on this earth where moth and rust consume, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. And finally, a third example, just off the top of my head, the passage in the Bible where it says, anybody that gives up their family for me, gives up mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters, they're going to get, 10 times more. And then another passage says about, in the house of my Father, there are many mansions, and I go away to make a place for you. So let's try to be smart about this, and let's try to consider the big picture. The church, Christianity, the church has used this type of thing, this manipulation. It's not just novel with the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's been used for centuries. So maybe this tells us something. Maybe we get a lesson from this about Christianity and the church and manipulation of Christians and believers. Once you're a believer, maybe you're gullible, maybe you're naive, so you can be manipulated. So just two final points. can I ask? So some people would conclude when it comes to matters like this, they would conclude, hey, fool me once, I blame you. Fool me twice, I blame myself. Two final points. What are you now? Well, you're no longer a Jehovah's Witness, of course. What are you now? Are you still a Christian, or you belong to some faith, or so on? And I'm just curious, if it's not too private, why did they fellowship you?
It's okay.
Private.
I'm going to be a Charlie Kirk here, and I'll be real quick. I believe what Jesus said when the woman at the well said, our forefathers worship in the mountains, but the Jews say to go to Jerusalem. And Jesus said, there will be a time when people will worship in spirit and truth. So I believe in my Heavenly Father, my Lord and Master, but I don't dictate other people's faith because it's a personal choice. And I'm kind of giving you the Charlie Kirk answer, but I do appreciate your comments.
Well, there you go. Thank you. Well, good to hear from. Good to hear from you, Larry. Hey, let's go. We got more callers here. Let's go to 865. 865. You're on with us. Go ahead. You're on with us, 865. Did you want to speak up? Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, we can hear you.
This is Junction Guy from 865. How are you doing?
Hey, it's good to hear you.
Yes, I had so many things I wanted to say, but I just didn't know when to cut in or not. But one thing you said towards the end was how, like, the circuit overseers, I guess those at Bethel, have to sign a vow of poverty. I don't know what all that entails, but the organization being a tax-exempt organization and requiring their workers to sign a vow of poverty, looks like there's some way we could work that into some kind of a campaign over their tax-exempt status, because if you are forcing your workers into a vow of poverty, at some point in time, the taxpayers are going to have to pick up the tab later on in some shape or form, because these people didn't prepare for their lives.
You're right. You're right.
It's a financial thing. I mean, they've worked all their lives for this organization, and now they have nothing when they've been reassigned. They're at the, they're just other people. They're depending on other people, and the American taxpayers will have to pick up the bill eventually.
Yeah, and you know what's really sad?
It usually follows the monastery model.
What's really sad, and I believe Rich told me that they have offshore bank accounts. They got the money to help these people. They're just not going to do it. But there's a lot of other organizations that are getting the tax exempt status too.
Right.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say that, what they are is a corporation, and they're a former publishing company. And that's all they are, is a corporation and disguised as a cult. And that's the past, a little bit of the past, but they've made a lot of money off a lot of people. I knew some folks that back in the 90s, they're no longer in Watchtower, but they would write them a $400 check a month. Her husband made good money. And they made a lot of money off a lot of people. And, through donations, mainly through donations, but selling the Watchtowers with books and all that, the crap that they made. in New York, and it was all free labor. We went door to door selling it, and when it was made, it was free labor. They paid for those people's room and board, but they gave them nothing to live on as far as they fed them, I guess. But it's just one big major corporation that just, like I said, disguises a cult. A nasty, nasty cult. They made everybody think Armageddon was around the corner and you were going to die tomorrow, and if you weren't following their ways, and you believed it. They were believable. But that's where I'm at on that. Thanks.
Can I share a quick experience real quick, and then I'll let somebody else. Do you know where most of their donations come from? I'm not making this up. I'm gonna share an experience. I was putting in 20 hours a month, and I was auxiliary pioneering 3 or 4 times a month, or 3 or 4 times a year. I was serving as an elder. I was on convention committees, all this. I was burning myself out. Well, I relapsed into something. And I relapsed into not a serious sin, but kind of a not so serious sin. I was so guilt-ridden that the God of the Watchtower was going to destroy me, because there is no grace in the Watchtower. You know what I did? To ease my conscience, I wrote I cut a check for $2,500 and I put it into the worldwide work. That donation wasn't coming from my heart. That donation was trying to help me ease my conscience, because I had a setback with a minor sin while I was an elder. So I just wanted to throw that in.
Fear of Watchtower, yes.
Yeah.
Hello? Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm an ex Jehovah's Witness. My name's Keith. I love this show. Thank you guys so much. It's such a nice place to be able to vent your concerns and heal, and it just really helps. I understand the concerns. I mean, the psychological guilt can be traumatic for anyone that's raised in it or been in it. They own you in your mind. It's an incredibly difficult thing to overcome. And I'm just so proud of everybody for speaking up. It's one of the hardest things I've ever been through. And I love this show. I think Rick's great. And I just hope you guys keep doing what you're doing. Thanks so much.
Great comment. Thank you.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, great show tonight, Joe. Just wanted to chime in. It's Dan and Angela. We're out here bothering Rich and Connie. And hey, Joe, Angela said hi. But great show tonight. Great reminders of what we all been through. But you know what I love, Joe? The thing that I think I really appreciated all the reminders and all the hell we've been through. But, Watchtower, when I got in, felt pretty good. It felt good on my body. It was kind of a means to an end. And then at a certain point, it was a hindrance. It was like they were lying about the prophecies. I went through the generation prophecy and the 75. And then I thought, man, this is a bunch of bull. And anyway, it served its course. But what I think I liked really great about the show is that you, like so many other people, got on with your life right away. You didn't let Watchtower. They got the first part. Yeah, they got some of our money. They got our time. I didn't get to play football. I cried about that for years, that I didn't get to play football. I didn't get to do that. But I didn't let it make me like a victim. Like, I get passionate and talk about it. But Watchtower was not going to steal the second part of my life. You know what I mean? And you got your ass, you got on the ball, you became a fireman, you became a police officer, you became all these wonderful things that you always dreamed of doing. I left when I was 40. My life, I got back way the hell more than Watchtower stole. I'll be honest with you. That guy was talking about mansions. I'm sitting in a mansion right now. It's Connie's mansion. Connie's and Rich. They got a big, beautiful house. They got a loving relationship. I've got a beautiful wife. I got tenfold. I feel
Yep.
like my time in the watchtower was like Job, when Job was down covered with boils, when we were burdened and pushed and driven like cattle and told to get out there and do hours and do all this stuff. And then that's the part where, you know, I never knew you, God. And then when I got out of there, it was like, now my own eyes do see you, because I'm blessed. I am blessed. I'm blessed beyond what I could ever imagine. I never could have imagined a life like I have now. I am in paradise now. I'm telling you. I mean, I don't give a damn what anybody says. I am in paradise now. I don't need heaven. I don't need all of these promises. I don't need to serve God because for some distant day, all that's a thing of the past. God said I should work hard to see hard for my work now. And so I loved it. I loved it that you got your dream. You got to do some of your dreams. It wasn't all a loss. And I feel like this, Joe. I feel like everybody goes through it. I feel like everybody. What kind of God asked us to hold a gun to our head? What kind of God, you know, it's supposed to be a love relationship. The relationship with God's supposed to be a love relationship, not I'm going to kill you if you don't do this. I'm going to kill you if you don't do that. And I thought you just said that tonight so well. And I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate Jeff. I appreciate all the guys out there that are sharing. And Angela said hi to Jeff. And who's the other guy? Zachary and all the guys, Rick.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, everyone has just, I've healed on this show majorly just by venting and getting it out. But guys, I didn't let it kill me. I started reading books. I reinvented my life. I started figuring out who the hell I was, and I got on with my life. And you can build it. I mean, I built mine from 40. I don't know, Joe, when you got out. How old were you when you got out, Joe?
See, I've been out 12 years. I'm 64 now. I'm an oldie but a goodie, but let's see. So I got excommunicated, what, 52 years of age. So I was able to fulfill my dreams.
Never too late.
That's right. Isn't that amazing? 50. I hope everybody hears that. 58. You know, we all got out older. But man, guys, I just got to say, and I believe this. Nobody has to believe this. There's scriptures that say God can quicken you. God will give you back what the locusts have eaten. The locusts have eaten. I don't know if you've ever heard that story. Locusts come in and completely eat your field, all your goods, all your crops. They eat it to the ground. But God said, I'll give you back what the locusts have eaten. Joe, I feel you've gotten back what the locusts have eaten. I think Rick Fearon, I think all these people. I know a lot of people who've come out of there that didn't fall through the cracks, that didn't let Watchtower be the last chapter, and they built a hell of a life. And it says to Watchtower, kiss my ass. You know, it wasn't the end for me. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's why that's
Great.
the scripture
Great
does.
comment. Thanks,
But it breaks my
Dan.
heart to hear about the guy living in the trailer.
Yeah.
Trailers aren't bad. Trailers aren't all bad. I know some good trailers, but that one was pretty high crime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Rick.
Well, I wanted to give my greetings to Dan and Angela, and because it's great to hear from y'all, Dan.
Must be Dallas. Is it Dallas?
I knew y'all here, and I had to greet you, each of you right here, and Joe right here, and his stories. I love how he woke up.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for Joe. I just want to say, Joe, thank you for that. You did an excellent job. You did an excellent job. So clear, so passionate, so powerful. And it's a success story. I want to hear success stories. Connie wants to say something.
You know why I call it, that's why I call it a witch tower.
Yes. Yes.
Got a watchtower. It's a witch tower.
You know, Joe, I was going to say this is Connie. I was going to say what's so beautiful about what Dan was saying is the fact that, you know, it's never too late. It's never too late. I don't want people to think that this is the last chapter in their life. In fact, we had that conversation with Rich tonight. You know, it's never too late. And the thing is, you can start your life. I mean, and seeing the example of what you have done, Joe, is so beautiful because, you know, we were all born to have dreams in our life, you know, to have a wonderful life, maybe a desire in your heart to become a fireman, whatever, a teacher, nurse, whatever, doctor, attorney, whatever. And the thing is, Watchtower stole that. It stole it from each and every one of us. But once you see all the deception and the lies and the con job they placed on all of us, once you see it, you do get pretty pissed off. But you get very, very pissed off, and rightfully so. But what you do, rather than playing that victim role for the rest of your life, and not moving on, then Watchtower has won. They've won the battle. They have won the battle. So you don't play that. You don't do that. You don't become the victim. You take your own power back, and you have your dreams, reignited and alive again, and you go for them step by step, day by day, and you empower yourself, and you can become anything you want to be. And you say, F you, Watchtower. You just
Can I say one thing real quick, Connie?
Go ahead.
Connie, can I say one thing real quick? And not, being a paramedic, not only in the hospital setting, but in the field, they call them core zeros, cardiac arrests, code blues, whatever. We have, the national average is about 7% saving rates. Our area, and of course, I'm just part of a team, whether I'm in the field or that. And of course, I don't do that anymore, but our success rate was 25%, a little over 25%. And I believe I saved more people out in the field than I ever saved in the Watchtower. I actually never got a person to the point of joining the cult, the Watchtower. So, last comment, my last class, I used to teach for Homeland Security, and I flew out to New Mexico Tech, and I was given a lecture, a PowerPoint lecture, and I realized I was teaching firefighters, nurses, EMS personnel, law enforcement, other bomb techs, and I thought, my gosh, it's almost like first full circle. Instead of giving a talk at a convention or at a meeting, I was given a talk to first responders all over the United States and Guam. So I'm very proud of the fact that I spent my last 12 years moving forward, like Dan and you said. It's time to move forward. We could make the best out of life, and that's what we're going to do. I really enjoyed everybody's comments. Rick, I'm going to let you have your show. But thank you so much, Rick, and you do so much for people. I want to thank you again for letting me have this time.
Well, Joe, you're very welcome. My goodness, in fact, I have to tell you, what I do here at the Six Screens control panel is I got a number of computers running, showing people coming in on telephone lines, people coming in through the various social platforms. But I have to tell you, we're a big hit tonight. The people love you, Joe. Lots of people. And I'm sorry if you guys couldn't come on and talk to Joe, but we'll get Joe back on again because he's got a lot to tell, and he's helping a lot of people. Joe, thank you for coming on the Six Screens tonight. Really a good man, Joe. Now, don't you ever change. Keep staying Joe, okay?
Hey, can I say one last thing?
Sure.
One of my good friends, Rich. Rich, I want you to know that you've been in my prayers, my brother.
Well, thank you, Joe, and I'm sure he appreciates that. And Rich, Dick, I call him Dick or Rich. We certainly do appreciate all that you do here at the Six Screens as well. And I've always loved Dick. He's been a good friend for many, many years. It was sad to hear that he had to be hospitalized. He had some issues with his foot. So hopefully that does get better. And we're going to see him back on the program here within a month. We'll give him some time, him and Connie. But we're looking forward to him coming back on. And, Dick, we're all wishing you to get well. And we all love you, Dick. Keep cranking away at it, Dick. And we'll see you hopefully within a month back on your show. Of course, they have the show, Dick and Constance Borgie Exposed the Watchtower. Another very good show here in the Six Screens. We've got about 14 different programs running right now. And if anyone out there has an idea for a program and they'd love to have a program here in the Six Screens platform, by all means, write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com, and we can talk about it. But the thing I want to tell you now, when you have a programmer here on the 6 screens, I always tell everyone when they start, when we've had 194 unique programs here. But I tell everyone, once you get into the limelight, people will take shots at you. So you got to have some thick skin. I know Joe has thick skin. He's had a number of people take shots at him too. Well, thank you, Joe. And we're going to JW World News. Well, that's the news the Watchtower doesn't want us talking about, but we've been talking about it every Saturday night for 20 years right here on the 6 screens Telenetwork. Thank you for joining your time with us tonight and spending your evening with us. Stay tuned for JW World News up next. Appreciate it.